Now I'm very excited to bring back a college basketball betting guru in Justin Perri from Shot Quality Bets. You can follow Justin on Twitter at JustinPerri8. Justin, here we are, man. It's like March just snuck up on us. Conference tournaments are here. How the heck you doing?
I'm doing well, honestly. Really excited that it's March. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Always excited to talk hoops with another, sicko like myself.
Absolutely. If we're talking about these conferences, we're probably a little sicko. So that's definitely true. But hey, I love it. You love it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun to watch. Hopefully everyone's got their ESPN Plus membership because that's really the best way to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Just lots of games on there. And there's just so much to talk about. But what's great is like there's other aspects to talk about. I know it's obviously not Selection Sunday for about another 2 weeks, but we can still talk about kind of what's coming here. And before we even get into that, though, you got something new going on, don't you, Justin? Want to tell us about it?
Oh, yeah. I'm happy to. I just started a brand new endeavor, a new little side personal project of my own, calling it under my own name. But I joke that it's the least about me thing I've ever done. It's a panel style roundtable talk show where I have sharp guests, friends, people you have heard about, people you have never heard about that you should be following along with on the show to talk about college hoops during the fall and the winter. And then in the spring and the summer, we're going to shift to baseball. So it's going to go year round, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. on my new YouTube. You can also, of course, just find it on my Twitter. So it should be pretty easy to locate. I have my own little Discord. We're doing the whole thing. So really excited to do it, try to bring together some perspectives that, don't often get to just directly ask each other questions. We had a great panel with Jim Root, Evan Mia, Ethan Carpenter, and Will Warren, Ethan from Shot Quality. And, it was just great to have them talking back and forth with one another and not just me asking questions, some interacting between guests that maybe doesn't happen anywhere else besides just like, Twitter replies. So getting them all together, asking some fun questions, talking college hoops now through, mid-April, and then we'll switch over into some baseball. It never really stops around here, does it?
No, it doesn't stop, baby. I mean, it's one after another, but that's how we like it. It's sometimes things, you're ready for the next step, and baseball's just around the corner, making a few, made a play last week. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I got a little excited about my Cubbies. Maybe too excited. I hope not. But I just felt their season win total was just a little low for being the division favorite. I know the division's not good, but still.
I don't hate it. I actually just picked up that nice the light blue Cubs spring training hat. So I'm Team Cubbies is my NL team this year to go with, of course, my Yankees fandom. And let's talk some college hoops. We got so much going on. We're here talking baseball in the middle of March. No one's going to want to listen.
Well, it's awesome. We got a show. It's called the Justin Perri Show, I believe.
Yep.
So there you go. It's going to be awesome. Make sure you guys check it out. Lots of great information from some smart people, and I like it how it's just a panel. It's just a different little format, so makes it easy.
No, we'll have to have you on. You'll have to come on, and it's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. So we have the YouTube, and we're also doing audio. So just some cool conversations. I try to stay as far out of it as possible. It's just why it's so funny that I named it after myself. So it's really going to be a fun time. And then we also are going to have like sporadic late night talk show type things where I kind of just open it up to every past guest to just come hang out if they want. So a different style of just like, maybe people are talking about a crazy game that someone just watched and you've been on the show. You just come hop in, drop a bomb, drop a line, make a hot take, and then dip out and just watch the chaos. I don't know what it's going to be like, but it's a little bit of a social experiment. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to get some great conversations out of it.
I'm in.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, I'm in. You just let me know when. I'm in. So,
I will.
Give me just a little ahead of time, and I'm excited to do it. So make sure you guys tune in to Justin Perri. You can follow him at JustinPerri8. So make sure you guys do that. All right, well, let's talk a little bit of college basketball then. And wow, here we are, NCAA tournament. People are thinking about it. We're going to do a little March Madness promo bracket challenge like we always do at the Odds Breakers. We're giving away $500 to first, second, and third. So here we are. Make sure you guys get into that. But right now, I'm thinking about contenders, man. And to be honest with you, there's a couple bubble teams that I just don't like. But before we get into the bubble teams, let's talk about the real contenders. I mean, how many teams do you think can actually? Well, it's hard to say. I guess let's format it however you want. I'll just ask you a broad question. How many teams do you think can actually win the tournament this year?
That's such a tough question. Coming off of a year where we saw multiple 5s and a 9 in the Final Four, with a 1, of course, taking down everything and getting, and when we zoom it out, and you remember just the champion of the tournaments, people go, oh yeah, 1 seed 1, but we really had one of the highest totals of seedings that we've seen in a long time. It was crazy. So I think that it's going to continue to get like that. There's no one team that's just captured and held the national attention. No one's been able to touch them. Everybody seems fallible, right? There's a way that you can get at everyone. Even, almighty Houston has a couple bangs and bruises, right? They have 3 losses right now, but there's been times where they maybe get a little lucky to get those wins too. So it's a tough 6 games to win. It's going to be a lot of different battles. It's a couple short bursts here, traveling. Who knows? I do think there's a lot on the line here. We have a lot of great storylines, redemption for Purdue, UConn, going for the repeat. Can Houston finally get it after being the darling of the analytics community for what, years now? I mean, they're sitting atop of shot qualities rankings by a fair margin. So they are, going to be the value play for shot quality when the tournament and the bracket come out. There's literally no doubt about it. There's not going to be, I would be shocked if the books and the public, I guess, selection percentages on brackets are less confident in Houston than what we see in our advanced stats. So just saying that right now, if you want to get ahead of it, I've been on Houston. I've been saying this all year. So our metrics say it. We've been calling our shot, right? So there's a lot, though. I do think that there's not much separating, the next 5 teams from the following 10 or 12. So I would say it probably comes out to a top 15, 20. If I'm really answering your question totally, how many teams can win? Probably 15.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's perfect.
If you want a simple answer, I know I brought it all back.
No, that is
a simple number, but it's complicated, right? They could go crazy. We could see all of the 1 seeds eliminated early. It's become more and more popular, or more and more common, not popular, but common to see these types of collapses from the early seeds. I remember when CJ McCollum beat Duke, it was so spectacular, and then Virginia goes down, and these things have never happened, and now small schools from New Jersey have terrorized Zach Edey for back-to-back years. Who could have thought? It's just more commonplace now than it ever was. I think strategy going in is upsets. Take dogs. Don't trust what you're being told about who's better. You don't know. It's a game of basketball. These teams have never seen each other before. It's going to be, I cannot wait.
I can't wait either, baby. So I kind of think it's less than 25, but I think that I separate them in A and B. I think something has to really go wrong with A. Just the other team was just so hot. Like when Miami beat Houston last year, they couldn't miss. Those guards couldn't miss in that game, that Elite 8 game last year. It's just like Houston couldn't do nothing about it. And sometimes that's what happens when Virginia lost to Baltimore, right? The Retrievers, they couldn't miss, and it's how do you beat a team when they just can't miss? Is everything they're throwing up, every ball screen just goes in. It's just not their fault. So that's what I mean by catastrophic. But I think it's UConn, and I hate to say Purdue and Tennessee, but and I expect one of those coaches to blow it like they always do. But UConn, Purdue, Tennessee, I have North Carolina, Creighton. In Kansas, believe it or not, are my 1As, right? And
where's Houston in that?
Houston's actually in my next category. So they can't.
All right.
The only reason that, and I know shot quality and you guys are super high in Houston, and you very much could be right this year. I just think their field goal percentage is a little weak. They've been killing it in the Big 12. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be they should just win out. They got UCF and Kansas at home. I see them winning out here. But they showed a little bit of fraudulence on the road. So they're not completely there for me, but they're on my B side. So my B teams, which might be more interesting, Justin, than my A teams are Houston. I don't even have Arizona as a B team. I'm fading them. Duke.
Okay, fair.
Iowa State. God, Bama would have been there, but after last weekend, I saw them against Tennessee. I just did not like what I saw. A B team would be Marquette. Maybe Illinois. We'll watch that tonight versus Purdue, and Kentucky and BYU and Michigan State. So those are my B teams. So yeah, I guess I'm throwing out like 12 to 15 teams like you are, a good amount. But I think it's going to be one of what I said there. I think it's going to be one of those teams. I mean, I just gave you a ton of teams, of course.
I think those are a good selection. Creighton looks great. Houston sits atop Ken Palm the same kind of way. They do shot quality, a good 1.5 points above the next team, which is UConn, who's, 0.8 above Purdue, who's 1.5 above Arizona. So right. Houston to Arizona is an efficiency jump of, 3.8. And that's a lot. It's a lot in terms of your per 100. So, I think it's pretty serious. Those three at the top are very good. The problem is that being the best team does not always mean you're going to get everything that you need to have go your way happen, right? Like that's just, right. It's a gauntlet. It's not just, are you going to be the better team out there? It's are your shots going to fall? Is your opponent going to, miss a fair amount of shots? If someone just doesn't miss, what are you supposed to do? You can play good defense to a point. People can hit things over you. So it's tough.
I'll add Auburn and Florida. I don't think I said them. Auburn and Florida, I'm going to add to the B's too. But yeah, Florida can be ruthless. They rebound so well. So that's the only reason I did that. But I would be surprised if it's Alabama with the way they play defense. I would be surprised with Arizona with their inconsistency. I would be surprised if it's Baylor, who is a little hot right now, but just don't think that they're the Baylor of before. BYU, bad on the road. San Diego State is San Diego State. We'll see. But let's move on to the fraudulent teams now, man. The fraud bubbles, I think there's a few of those. I'll just give you a few. I think that Texas is fraudulent. They should. I was on them last night with the 7 in the hook, and man, that was a bummer loss. I really thought about buying back, but I guess DC went out and everything, and I was half watching it because I had baseball going on with my sons, but with my son, not sons. But I just think Texas was in a spot where they needed this one so bad, and they still faltered. If they get in, I think it would be a little bit more of a geez, because you beat Baylor at home, seriously, because none of the other big win. There is no big win here. You lost to Marquette. You lost to UConn. Those were your 2 non-conference games. LSU's not good. That's your best non-conference win, seriously. So I think Texas is fraudulent. Virginia is fraudulent. I better not see Virginia in there, by the way. They do not deserve.
Going by some of the T Rankitology, I love Bart Torvik's site. He does some really great stuff. If you want to check in, he does have Virginia as the first team out right now. I mean, if they continue to play that way, as they did against, in these last couple games against Duke, how they looked against VT, even the UNC game wasn't great. The Pitt game wasn't great. They've had one good game in their last 5 against Boston College. Maybe, the Wake Forest win was good actually at home, but it was a 2-point win. So and they scored 49. So they haven't scored. They scored over 50 once since the middle of February. So it's just not looking great. You don't want to hear that. They should not. That type of performance should not be rewarded. I totally agree. But it's an interesting last 4. I think it's I look at these names and imagine if Virginia was still going to get in, just because they do have a good, start to the season, good strength schedule. It's not like they haven't played well, but I don't know. It's tough. I think if the committee does skew a little towards, recent performance, and if Virginia can't figure it out, then it should be done. But the bubble, it's interesting. We got a good bubble here. Looking at bracket matrix, they don't have Virginia in, which is good. I think. Let me just make sure if I can't read.
And it's not even really the question based.
They do, but it might be behind. It might be behind on getting people's votes in more recently. So, I think I don't think they should make it.
I don't think so. Wake Forest, it's funny you mentioned them. I bet against them in their last 2 games against Notre. I think Notre Dame won outright, and I remember picking that as my dog upset of the day last week. And then they lost to Syracuse, was it? it was Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech. I was on
Right.
Tech on the weekend too. So
Yep.
I think they're kind of fraudulent too. And of course, I'm mentioning the ACC. I guess I'm targeting them a little bit, but no, it's those are mine. Do you agree or have any more to add that you kind of want to fade if they get in the dance?
Ooh, it fades if they get in the dance. I think for me, I don't know. I hate to say my own favorite team, but I'm a little concerned about St. John's. I think there's going to be distinct matchups that can really, get them in a little trouble. They're now pretty safely in as like a 9, 9-10 seed. So I don't, they've had a lot of the teams that they beat have done well, and the teams that like everyone in their schedule has been doing well, right? So then your strength of schedule just starts going up. So that's been really great for them. And yeah, I think, it could just mean they run into a type of team that can just carve them up, that can get in front of Jenkins, that can take that mid-range away. Again, it's going to be tough. It's not like they don't have the pieces. They should have the pieces to attack anyone. Soriano is a great big man inside. I've seen him play in person a few times. I think they have the defensive guards. I watched Chris Ledlum throw down a mean block on Ryan Kalkbrenner that gave me a lot of confidence. But yeah, I don't know. I think, I have some questions about TCU for sure. I've had questions about FAU all season. I think if you go at Golden and you can get them in any type of foul trouble, that team just starts to their shot quality literally goes down. It's pretty simple. I hate to boil it down to such a simple thing, but they need him to space the floor and develop good shots, and that's what shot quality encapsulates. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Good stuff. No, the Johnnies, man, making definitely a case now. Back in the tournament, they're gonna be in. They're draw too much money out there. I think they're in for sure. But I'll be a little concerned about them. I'll fade Dayton too if Dayton gets in. I'm not a big Dayton guy. I've been on the other side.
I think they're pretty in at this point. Even I think they get the at large in my opinion, which would be really interesting if they lose like someone on the bubble. That's a big one. Those bubble teams are really hoping that Dayton doesn't lose, that Gonzaga doesn't, that some mystery team doesn't come and take it away from Gonzaga or St. Mary's in the WCC. Like these are fascinating tournaments to watch, right? So
yes. Well, that's interesting because that kind of pivots into what we're going to talk about is who's going to make the big dance, baby. And we got these small conference tournaments coming up. I have a couple futures on them. We'll see if we line up or have a case or go against whatever happens. But we have some lines out there, so that's what we love. And I don't have one. I certainly don't have a play in everyone, but let's just kind of hit them quickly or pass. Starting with the Sun Belt, because we're just looking at the DK odds. You got James Madison's plus 120, App State plus 180, Troy plus 500, Arkansas State plus 800, Lafayette 1200, Southern Miss 50-1, just a massive difference there, plus 5,000. And then obviously the rest. So what do you think? Anything that you bet in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, well, this tournament has those double buys, single buys. So the jumps are correlated with the teams that don't have any buys. It's going to be very hard for them, at least the underdogs specifically. So the lower seeds. I did have App State here. I did take App State. Made my plays about a day and a half ago. I'd say. I think something like 38 hours ago is what I have on when I put it in. But I have App State plus 210. Put a unit on it. I really have this just as a expectation that we're going to go into a final matchup between JMU and App State. That's kind of my handicap. So I'm thinking about also maybe waiting and see if I can get a better price on JMU. If maybe the App State price comes down as more people realize how likely that matchup is at the 1-2 in this conference, I think we'll see it.
I agree with you. I agree. I'm on App State too. And I also took them at 210 on FanDuel. Yeah. I took them and I sprinkled like a half the size on Arkansas State at plus 1,000. It stinks that they're both on the same side. But what's funny about this is that, just looking at the Sun Belt here, the third hardest team is also on James Madison's side. James Madison did not get the 1 seed, and they're favored. I think they're favored just because of that big Michigan State win that everyone won the first game of the season, and they haven't played a lot of big games, and then they lose to Appalachian State twice. People are going to say can't beat a team 3 times. Well, BS.
There it is. There it is. It only took us like 20 minutes. Yeah, no, of course, and it's a logical fallacy for sure. You can beat the same team 3 times. I think on the show last night, on the Justin Perri show, one of my good friends and fellow shot quality handicappers, Max, was talking about how it's been like at a large sample, like the team that wins the first 2 does win the third. So yeah, I don't know, when you have a team like James Madison that essentially, their only other loss besides App State was Southern Miss on the road, and they shot 2 of 17 from deep. And that's the story right there. Like I don't need to go any further, right? That's why they lost that game. They literally do not have any other losses besides that. So I think we get to that battle, and I think there's, therefore value on any of the other options at plus. Either of these teams at plus money, maybe even both, because I do think there's a high likelihood of them meeting, and I wish we could get almost like a matchup in the finals type odds, because I would be on this. So it's effectively the same though.
Yeah, and Troy is on the same side as James Madison, right. And so I found that interesting. And I can't even find where they played. I thought they did. How would you not? Troy being on the same side as James Madison really makes it a little harder for James Madison too. And I didn't even see where they matched up this year. I don't know how the heck that happened, but maybe that was a miss. Size of the conference. There you go. But no, I full agreement. I'm glad we are both on App State here. So go App State, and we'll see if the James Madison line comes up a little bit, because that's a chance you can just win on both sides as long as that's the matchup. The Horizon League, Youngstown State plus 195, Oakland plus 240, Wright State plus 275, Green Bay plus 950, Fort Wayne 1300, and the rest goes up from there. I'm sure neither of us are betting Detroit Mercy or IUP at 500-1. They should be 5 million to 1 probably. So we'll just stay away from those terrible teams. I've watched probably too much of those 2 teams this year, to be honest with you. If you watch 5 minutes of them, that's probably too much, though, to be fair.
IUPUI is a little improved. And Detroit can cover spreads when they have Jaden Stone.
They can cover spreads, but still.
Right. I mean, that's about it. That's it. I'm done with those teams. I think they're probably I think I saw at least, those bottom 3 seeds for the Horizon, including Robert Morris. There's a very slim chance any of them advance.
Doesn't this one reseed too? I think this one reseeds. Yeah.
It does. It does. And it reseeds at campus sites. And then first of all, first round's today, right? So this is in a little bit on Tuesday when we're recording. And then they take a day off, and they go Thursday because they have to travel to the other campus site, I believe. Unless it's if it's a pod, I'm not 100% sure, but that might not be the case. Either way, they're not playing again until Thursday. And then they take the whole weekend off, and they all go to the neutral site in Indianapolis, and the quarterfinals, the semifinals are held there, and the finals are held there. So, but that's Monday, Tuesday. So they go back to back for the semis and the finals. So it's a really interesting tournament. And of course, the Horizon kind of feels wide open. I made 3 plays on this one. I'm not sure the lines are the same anymore. They've been moving a lot. All on FanDuel. I got 25-1 on 3 teams at the same time. I think it was Cleveland State, Milwaukee, and what was the other one in that range? I believe Northern Kentucky. No, not Green Bay. Green Bay was like plus 950 when I took that. So that was part of it. I think the player that was hurt from Green Bay was back though, so it kind of changes things. I was sort of targeting Green Bay in terms of expecting some injury. We'll see how it goes. Who knows how well they play, but that's a 3 seed that I think the market has definitely perceived to be a little bit weaker. The price has gone up, like you said, at 13-1. They were under 10-1. So yeah, I think people are sort of looking at that as like a window into maybe making a run at like a semifinals or a finals from like Milwaukee has been a favorite amongst people in terms of analyzing that bracket. That was the other one, I think. So yeah, I have just quarter units, nothing crazy on that. Full unit on the App State one, but quarter units here, some long shots. But I look at Youngstown should do it. It should probably be Youngstown. If I had to if I was just making a pick to be accurate. But if I'm making a pick against the odds, I think you want to take those long shots, maybe hope one of them gets into the final game somehow, and have a good position.
This is kind of the same as the other conference. It's funny, Oakland beat Youngstown twice, and isn't Oakland the 1 seed too?
Oh yeah, Oakland is the 1 seed. Yeah, Oakland and Youngstown are the 1 and 2. I mean that it should be one of them. It really should.
Yep. I got a great number on Oakland, and it's plus
nice.
290.
Plus Wright 290. State too. I mean, Wright State's got a fiery offense. It's not. It's a crazy conference. It really is. You don't have necessarily, one very, very like clear favorite. Like there's no. A lot of these conferences do have like a minus 125 or a plus 125 type team that theoretically commands the largest share. And I don't know, the Horizon, man. This is one of the craziest ones. Super excited to watch it unfold. I think someone's gonna win a big ticket. Is my thought. I would not be shocked if one of Oakland, Youngstown, or Wright, none of them win it.
You got great value there, man. You got some great value because these are they're young. I mean, Cleveland State's 20 to 1.
Yeah, they went down to like 20 to 1, and then they bounced back up to 26 to 1. So these markets are moving, I think, is the lesson. Don't sit there and be like, oh, I can't get the same line. Just wait, see what you can get. Check a lot of different books. There's a lot of different pricings out there. Pit them against each other. It's how you take home the best price, which in the end, it's going to be a lot of luck. You need bounces to go your way. There's going to be close games, big swings that, again, happen on the lucky bounce off the foot that makes a 4-0 run into an 8-0 run, and that changes the entire game. So, I think that's why, especially in conferences like this, where the only 3 teams are rated, outside, like above the top 200, 4 teams maybe with Fort Wayne, but it's going to be a crazy one. I think a perfect one for some big numbers and some lotto tickets per se.
Yep, absolutely, and it's going to be a great one to watch. I can't wait, and it is really separated. So yeah, it's going to take a while to get through this baby. So kind of can pop in every other day and see.
We won't be done for a week. It starts today, and it doesn't end until the 12th. This week is when we find out who goes dancing. So it's kind of fun, but the teams are going to be rested. Makes it very different than some of these other like true gauntlets where it's like, you're there. It's boom, 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 like 4 days in a row to go from nothing to champ. So not in the Horizon.
Good stuff. How about men's Atlantic Sun Conference tournament? I didn't take anything here. Lipscomb used to be a really good team. They've kind of fed back a little bit. Eastern Kentucky's the favorite at plus 140. Anything. Queens is interesting. It's funny. You're used to Queens by you. Queens, North Carolina, baby. Come on.
A little different.
Yeah, definitely different. Did this one start already too, or?
Yeah, we had FGCU and Kennesaw both lost last night.
Florida Gulf Coast lost. That's right.
Yes, I had that was my long shot in this conference. I had a half unit on them, 25 to 1. So suffered a nice early loss.
I almost bet them yesterday, but I just decided that 4 was too much, and then wow, they lost outright. Okay, glad I didn't bet them.
Yeah, well, I did, and I thought that, and my process, I guess, still kind of reigns down true for Queens now, because my target was Stetson. Stetson can be very up and down. We'll see how it goes tonight. Okay. I do think they have the ability to be a team that could blow this team out of the water. I also think they have the ability to lose. I don't know which version we will get. So Stetson has that volatility to them, but so did FGCU. And I think Haslametrics has a consistency, or is it called a consistency rating? I don't know what he actually calls it, but it is a consistency rating. It's
how close your deviation is from the spread when you add up every single game. Like if you're
this one, I believe that the projected Stetson is like in the bottom, and then so is FGCU. They're both like bottom 10 in D1. So
right.
I don't know. I think when that's like the type of team I'm going to target, because when you have a wide variance, right, that opens up a little bit more value at the end of the crazy thing going my way, in my opinion. So I usually take those types of shots. Not to say that Stetson couldn't go do this, but they also could lose. So maybe more so than like an EKY, which is the other bet I actually have in this conference. I did take Eastern Kentucky for a full unit, plus 145. They have home court throughout the entire tournament. This is at their gym at the end. They would have to lose, right? So everyone has to go to EKY's gym at the end, And they should be able to handle home court. I don't think they've taken a home loss this season. So that's probably why they have the first seed and why they're owning it. So yeah, give me EKY coming out plus 140. I think ends up being a nice value. I'd be shocked if they don't get to the final here. Sorry, my cat has decided to come and say hello.
Oh, it's all good, man. I'll give a cat a little
Madison.
2024 Men's Patriot League tournament winner,
Mm-hmm.
Colgate minus 250. And Boston is next at plus 600. American plus 750. Lehigh for 800. The rest goes down from there. I know Simon would be mad at you, but any chance of on going for that? Or we just pass in this one.
Look, I am not going to lay that type of number with Colgate. It should be theirs to lose. Again, home site tournament. And they've just kept going. So I don't know. I think they've kind of been chilling a little. We saw them sort of not really close out too well against Lehigh. Maybe sort of have it on afterburners, gearing up for this tournament.
Could have
been this is kind of they're right. Their regular season's kind of on autopilot. Like they are far and away the best team. They use that to attract good talent so that they can say, hey, you come to Colgate, you play some good ball, we're going to the tournament. Like what? Loyola Maryland? No. Bucknell? Come on. These teams are subpar comparatively, and so Colgate should do it. If you're looking to put together those favored teams in like a parlay or something, I don't hate it. I really don't. We get to the other ones, but they're like a team like High Point, a team like Colgate. Like, come on, these are some of these teams are pretty far and away the best team, and those lines to win the conference tournament will start getting steeper the minute they start showing it and win some games. So this is kind of your best chance to get in and take that type of swing. You could be wrong. You have to be okay with being wrong to gamble on sports. But I do think there's value on the top teams in these smaller conferences that are carrying these prices, and they can be pretty reliably used for parlay legs. And I'll probably have something like that going out tonight to my subscribers.
Well, it's a money line roller. It might be a little better than minus 250.
Exactly.
I would say Lehigh. If I was going to take something, it'd be on Colgate's side because I don't see them losing the last one. I see them losing like before that. So yeah, it would be that, but I'm not actually. I'm passing on this one. Northeast Conference here: Merrimack plus 120, Central Connecticut State plus 120. Then all the rest. I mean, Sacred Hearts plus 850. That should be higher. Lemoyne plus 1400. There's only 8 in this conference here tournament, so I'm passing on this one too. I don't have a play.
I haven't actually made a play on this conference yet. It's tough. I'm in New York, so I have to wait a little. So my pick's going to be Lemoyne for the value.
Okay.
I think this is a big discredit to Lemoyne. I think they've shown this season that they can win games against the best in this conference, put on runs, and be at times impressive. They've struggled, don't get me wrong, but you're talking about the NEC. So all these teams can struggle. Merrimack being, I think, is kind of the pick of destiny, if you will. Won the tournament last year, is the reigning tournament champion, but was ineligible. I'm not sure if they're eligible yet, honestly. There might be another interesting scenario there. I'm not 100% sure on it. I can actually check it out right now so that we can find out. But yeah, Merrimack, I believe this is their 5th year. So they were, they got to D1 in 2020. So if it's 5 years before, or do you?
I actually think they're not eligible yet. But I could be wrong. So it's a great question because they're right on the brink here. It looks like other people have been asking this as well. Now this is a home as well.
Yep, it can do it. It's the 5th year.
Okay, great. So that's wonderful.
Wait. I might be wrong. I think it showed me. What is the goddamn part?
That's okay. They're playing at home, so that helps them too, and they're the number 1 seed. So it's just that much harder for
it is. It's going to be hard.
Other teams to take them over. But why don't I move on to you can answer that when we get into the next one. Yep. I'll move on to the men's Ohio Valley here, and you have Morehead State is at plus 100. I believe this one is on a neutral. Little Rock plus 225, UT Martin plus 380, Western Illinois plus 900. I didn't bet this one either. Morehead State should win it, but if I was going to take a shot, it'd be Western Illinois. I think they're inconsistent, but one of those good teams that I think won some bigger games, and showed up pretty well in conference in general. And that's why they're not complete dogs here. I just think the 9-1 could be some value here. I definitely don't like the plus 120 on the Merrimack side. Merrimack's a solid team, but
it is 4 years.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
I did get it right.
Okay.
So they are eligible this season. So it is
excellent.
It is maybe their year of destiny because this 2020 was their first year. 2023 they won it, year 4, and now Joe Gallo returns. He's been here every single year. They clearly like the results they're getting. They're coming off a loss. It's a Sacred Heart to end the season on the road. I just think they phoned it in. It's them or it's Lemoyne, in my opinion. They did crush Lemoyne. So I don't know. It is probably them. It's their ticket to win. They should have had it last year. I don't like that rule at all. Yeah, give me Merrimack.
All right, good stuff. So they lost. Western Illinois lost to Morehead State twice, and so they would have to play them again probably.
Mm-hmm.
Hope maybe not, but they play good defense. I mean, their opponent effective field goal percentage ranks 22nd in the nation. It's 46.5 on Ken Palm here. So they just don't have a good offense. They're terrible at shooting free throws, but hey, couple changes happens. They start getting hot. The defense shows up. Maybe this is one of those tournaments, being on a neutral, that nobody shows up and nobody can make the shot, and that's just kind of what they are anyway. And their defense.
Would you go unders if that's their thought about tournaments? Like, how do you perceive like tournament totals?
Well, for sure, that'd be Madison Square Garden with the dark backdrops. You always look under on Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Anything played there? I think less and less is played there now. I thought the Atlantic 10 used to be played there, but somebody else.
They're in Brooklyn now. They're going to be at Barclays.
Yes, so it's kind of I want as many as I can of some of these, but I think in general on neutral courts you look more to the under. Now there are courts, especially in Las Vegas, T-Mobile, a couple other areas that trend to the over, but most of them I think are more trending to the under.
Yep, I agree. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be my actual hypothesis is overs early in tournaments and unders late in tournaments. So we'll see how it goes. Because the defense is what's going to bring teams through, and the early matchups won't have a lot of it. But for the Big East, I think my lean is taking smaller swing at both Creighton and Marquette.
Well, they still have. I wasn't even going to ask you about that, but why don't we talk about the Big East though? Because that's out in your neighborhood. I mean, there's some odds in some places here. I don't see it on DraftKings.
FanDuel does have some odds in that range. I think UConn coming out around like minus 145 right now. And of course they have games. So like the seeding isn't totally finalized, but a lot of the top seeding is pretty expected, right? Like you would need to see some of these good teams lose home games for things to go differently. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think that happens too much at the end of the season. And any good games that might be close are obviously factored in terms of if they could shift seating. So I think I like the field at some level is my answer compared to UConn. It's an interesting question. I think we've seen the Big East is as open a tournament as ever. This is arguably the best basketball conference there is in that sense, right? You might have the Big 12 has the best teams at the top. But like the Big East, man, like the anyone can kind of do this. They have talent up and down. Even like obviously DePaul can't do it. But Georgetown, has won a Big East tournament title with with a bad record. It's happened. Yeah. It's happened. It's Madison Square Garden. Crazy things happen. A lot of these teams in the Big East have auto bids. They don't have to sit here and play for their lives. That's not what they're doing. So it's a little different in these top tournaments. I think you can get a lot of value with that sense because these guys, obviously if they play really well, they start going on a run, they want to do it. They want to win the championship. Sure. But like, you really think that, they're not looking forward a little bit and maybe susceptible to a team that's coming in hot, building momentum in the early rounds. We see it all the time. like a 3 or a 4 seed gets bounced. So I think it'll happen again.
I don't think that UConn's going to put forth their energy in the Big East as much as the tournament because they want to repeat.
Right. So they're minus 145. If they're focused on repeating, and they're a 1 seed, like they, I don't know if Creighton's out to get revenge for that game at I don't know, not that game. I don't know, whichever team, hypothetically, not Creighton.
Can you take a field bet right now? Can you take a field bet?
I don't think you can. I would probably play it even, minus 145. I mean, let's say it's like a 30-cent market and I'm getting plus 115. Like, it'd probably be like plus 100, honestly, because these are pretty high hold markets. But
oh yeah,
still,
yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
I'd take an even money bet on it not being UConn right now. I probably would. I do think they stumble, and I think the value on that stumble is going to be Marquette or Creighton.
100%.
I don't really think it's St. John's. I really don't think it's Seton Hall. The Seton Hall pricing is like 20 to 1. No, I don't think they're good enough.
Let's look at the Missouri Valley here. Indiana State plus 160, Drake plus 210, Bradley plus 350, UNI plus 1100, and then Belmont's plus 1500. Who I think they just got an injured player back. Southern Illinois plus 2200, and it goes down from there. This has always been a very exciting conference tournament as well. So some crazy things happen. But to me, I actually took Indiana State at plus 180. I got a little bit better of a number. And to be honest with you, Drake and them are almost identical teams when I look at them on paper. I mean, I think they just share a lot of the strengths that they have. They're great shooting teams. Defense is kind of meh, but good for them. Good for their division, the 90s, something like that.
Yeah.
They both aren't the greatest offensive rebounding teams. They play pretty fast. I just think that both of these teams are splitting image. But then you see Drake. Why are they 210? Well, because they have to play Bradley. Bradley's on their side first. And so it's just like a money line. If you want Drake, I think the mechanical parlay money line rollover would be better. But you also have to remember to do it. So I totally get if you don't. You have to remember to put that bet in every single day. But I took Indiana State because I believe when they had their lull in the season, I think they're just mentally shot. And you had ESPN hyping them up and all that. And now they might miss the tournament without it. I think that motivates them a little bit. And they're a great shooting team. I'm not going to hold that Illinois State and Southern Illinois loss against them, against the number one effective field goal percentage team right now. So they play fast, but I think their defense is a little bit better than what people think.
I mean,
so
how can you not like Robbie Avila?
For sure. And not only that, they got some big men and they're deep. And I just like them. I know I watched the Michigan State loss, and they were in that game for a very long time. That was a tough crowd. I know they lost one to Drake, and Drake was shot out of their mind that game. But this is where they prove that they are eligible to get in the tournament. And I was kind of surprised I was getting such a good plus number on them. I thought they would be plus 110 or something like that. So I was pretty cool with it, Justin.
I think people would fade them pretty quick at those numbers. So look, it's a really tough. That final game is going to be a battle, and they're going to go in. They're probably not going to go in as favorites by much, a couple points. So it's not like I understand the plus 170 because you have essentially a game where you're going to be favored by a bit more against the 4 seed for Indiana State, and then a tough game coming out, whichever team won that game is going to be obviously playing pretty well, you'd think. So this is a tough spot. That's a tough spot. I do think it's between Indiana State and Drake. But yeah, I'm with you. I've seen what this Indiana State team just can do this season. There's no reason to think it's not them.
But I hope it's not Drake. I hope Bradley gets Drake or somebody, because that would be a lot nicer to get to make money on both sides. I could just bet the same amount as somebody else at plus 170. Now I think it'd be plus 120, plus 130 max if it's Drake. It's going to be probably a 2-point spread, something like that, right? Isn't that fair? But
yeah, I agree.
At least I'm in the situation where I got this side on plus money. I can still take this side on plus money if I want. If I'm watching the tournament and I'm thinking Indiana State is a little bit overrated, I have them at plus money. The safe part is that's better than mechanical parlay, is if it's not them, then they're going to be like minus 300, in their final game. It's just like, That's the times you wish that you would have took the future instead of doing the mechanical parlays. But I think it's an interesting
Exactly.
one. Are you going against them?
No, I don't think so. I think I really like. I hope we get some Indiana State in the tournament.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I want to see Indiana State for sure in this tournament. Let's move on to the next one. How about the West Coast Conference tournament? And it's funny. This is not quite. Well, actually, it is. But look how this flipped. It was St. Mary's, and now they're the dogs. They just got bounced by Gonzaga. I'm not going to punish St. Mary's myself too much for it, but what are your thoughts on what happened there, and who would you pick if you had to, or did you make a play?
I haven't made a play here yet. I probably will soon. Getting to that point where there's not too many left, and there's a few that haven't even had their brackets settled yet. So yeah, I do think that Gonzaga is going to be my pick. I do think that, how much changes? Was it really a bad? Unless you can go in and say, hey, this was a terrible shooting performance from St. Mary's, and they never do this. And there's a reason to think that they got good shots. And we do have a good resource for that these days, and I happen to use a lot of it. And obviously, content lead over at SQ, but we can go in. I'm going to look right now and sort of see what that game was expected to be. And yeah, it was a lucky win for Gonzaga. So maybe you do need to give St. Mary's some appreciation. Gonzaga shot 56% on their threes. They shot 4 of 7 on guarded threes. They shot 6 of 8 from mid-range on jumpers. That's a big deal. That's going to push you up 9 points. And St. Mary's was a little cold. So I don't know. That's a home game for St. Mary's, though, right? So this one was actually expected to be right on the spread by shot quality, right at 4.5. So, maybe you shouldn't overreact, and maybe there isn't a lot of value. I don't know. I've yet to dive into this one really hard. I do think it's a good spot to let some of that data do the work for you, so it's not too difficult to decipher. But yeah, it's I would take both. I think it's them in the final. I don't know. I haven't looked at the pricing really yet, but I would think it comes down to those two.
Yeah, exact pricing would be fun. Gonzaga over St. Mary's,
I wish.
plus 200, plus 150. I don't know what they would give you for that. But the truth is, just to win it all, Gonzaga's the favorite now. Nice one at 15. If you can actually pick their opponent, that'd be perfect. I think it's between these two teams too. I always like to take a look at shots before. I've toyed with San Francisco in the past. They're just not that good enough this year. And Gonzaga was a fade team for me, but they got better. St. Mary's injured. Joshua Jefferson has missed a few games. He's played a lot of minutes as a starter, 6'8". Their backup center, Harry Wessels, he has been out for a few games too. So I think it's real important to monitor these two guys, see if they can come back. And I don't know. I read a couple updates every once in a while. It says Wessels is questionable. He's got that arm injury, and Jefferson has that knee injury. It actually says he's out for the season. It's funny. I didn't know he was completely out for the season. So that's a hit on St. Mary's. So that's something to worry about. I like Gonzaga. And Mark Few.
They also just EK just got snubbed for Player of the Year in the WCC. So add some fuel to the fire,
Well, there you go, man. That will pump them up a little bit. Well, let's move on to the next one. And what's this? The Men's Coastal Athletic Conference, CAC, Charleston plus 225, Hofstra plus 280, Drexel's like plus 380, Towson plus 950, Delaware is plus 1300. I think this is just one of those that I didn't bet this conference a lot during the season, so I'm staying away. But Charleston, just since last year, Charleston was the good team, and they're still better than everybody by a bit.
I think it's not the best price on Charleston at this point. Charleston, I'm trying to say it too native. But no, I'm a Yankee. It's a tough conference. This could go anyway. But yeah, I think it's Charleston's to lose, but that's kind of the perception. I don't think you're going to get a good price on it. I haven't played it. I doubt I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I doubt I'm going to play it too. Wilmington's the other one that I missed. That was plus 350. If I was going to toy with something, it might be Wilmington, because they did beat Charleston by about 9 points at home. And they also beat Charleston on the road by 6 points. So it's like, oh, maybe this Wilmington team can, kind of come up and upset them a little bit. It's just a thought. I didn't bet them. I think that they are the 3 seed, I think. I have to double check. I have to look at the bracket again, but I'll do that while you talk about the Summit League tournament winner, South Dakota State.
I mean, yeah, these lines have just kind of come out, so I haven't really started doing these yet. I'm probably gonna do like the second wave tonight for me.
They did just come out.
It's South Dakota State. Yeah, it's South Dakota State. It always runs through them. I think that was my Jerome pick, so that's who I have winning it. I think it's probably like plus 150, plus 140 last I saw. Not my favorite play, but it's gonna be tough. North Dakota hasn't been there, and nobody else really has the talent to do it. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
yeah. This is one of those I stayed away from, but I think I had a lean on somebody.
Look for this. This is a tournament that the big schools watch out for, man. Ever since Creighton got Baylor Shireman out of the Summit, it's a hotbed. There's some talent out there, right? And then the Big Sky too. Raquan Battle going to like West Virginia. It's some good talent, and
it's funny how they
lost. A lot of fun.
It's interesting how they lost all that talent, man. And
they do every year. It's a breeding ground. It's a place where maybe the guys who don't get into the big schools initially can go get time, prove that they're a number one option type player, and then go at least be a starter at a big school.
Well, Vanover, they lost. Oral Roberts lost a bunch. Their coach
right,
and Vanover.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Max Adamus, is with Texas, right? Like, so that's crazy. Like, so these guys are all over. Oral Roberts makes these runs. It turns into transfer time. And then North Dakota State. I don't know. Who knows who it'll be right now? I'll tell you right now. The top player coming out of the Summit. I believe who's the top. I don't know if off the top of my head. Currently, the top player by like efficiency in the Summit is Zeke Mayo. Yeah, that makes that. That's why I knew I should know it. He's been incredible. There's also Frankie Fiddler. Wouldn't be shocked to see him move on from Nebraska, Omaha after this one. And then St. Thomas has some guys. Raheem Anthony, he's a senior, but yeah, Zeke Mayo moving on, Frankie Fiddler moving on would not surprise me coming out of this conference. Excited. This is going to be Zeke Mayo's tournament. He is South Dakota State. He plays 90% of their minutes. He played 91, the fifth most conference minutes in the country, 91.1% of the minutes, and 28.8% of conference possessions, fourth most in the country. So
they're close to home.
Crazy. He just takes so many. He takes so many of their shots, and they're so good.
Yep. All right. Well, I missed one, so let's just end with this one. The Southern Conference here, SoCon. I went and took Furman. I took him at 7-1. There were some 8-1s out there too, so shop around. But it's this team was awesome last year. They went to the NCAA tournament, upset Virginia, if you remember. Western Carolina gave them some fits in the conference tournament last year. They went to overtime, but then they took care of Chattanooga, who I kind of liked back then. But they took care of them in business, took care of the business, and then they were hurt this year. They a couple of their guys they returned a decent amount of starters last year from that NCAA team, and guys like Alex Williams missed like 7 or 8 games in the heart of the seasons, and he was. A big 6-man, and then Marcus Foster, one of their main guards. He only played 21 games, because he was out in the heart of the middle when they were losing to Chattanooga, when they were losing to Greensboro. Hell, when they lost to the Anderson, South Carolina, some lower division school. They're not even in the Division I basketball, and then
right,
which was super embarrassing. But then he comes back and. The team has definitely taken their lumps, but I think that they got the pedigree at 7-1. So that's why I took them. What about you?
I like it. I do think they have it as well. It's going to be tough to beat Samford. It is. I think that's kind of where you go with it. If you have to, it's locked up for them. Greensboro is, I think pretty locked into the 2, I believe. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But looks like it's going to be an interesting one. Of course, Furman has some guys, but, Vontarius Woolbright for West Carolina. He's a guy, man. Like he could take over this tournament. You know, and Sanford still has some great talent as well. Furman too. You know, there's players all around. This is going to be a great tournament. I do think you take some flyers there between Western Carolina and Furman. That's probably where I'm guessing. And like Greensboro is not going to get the price I want for that type of play. But yeah, I think Furman and Western Carolina is probably where I'm going to be looking. I haven't made my selections yet here, but do expect the accuracy winner is probably Sanford. Money winner is going to be a little different.
Yeah, Western Carolina's lost some close games, and most of them just away were the problem. But they're going to be, you know, a pretty good number. I think Western Carolina at plus 500 too. If I didn't take Furman, I would have took Western Carolina. So there you go. I totally agree.
There we go.
Well, great stuff, man.
Love it.
We, man, I love talking hoops with you. I can't believe it's already been an hour. Like,
goes fast.
We could talk forever, but man, more importantly, you have some great stuff at Shot Quality. Where can our listeners get your great information and plays?
Oh, they can get it all over. That's the whole point. Yeah. So Shot Quality and Shot Quality Bets, we have our pick of the day. We have a show 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday at 7:45 p.m. So that's today. If you're watching here, the live stream, or you're catching it later, come in on Thursday, 7:45 p.m. We're using our new live betting tool, which we call the Live Score Center, which uses Shot Quality's equations to score games in the minute so that we can make live plays. And it's been very successful. It's been, the highlight of my season is how I'm basically at 60% at a large sample size, including on the show. We're close to 100 bets over 500 in about 26, 27, 45-minute spurts. So me and my co-host have just been absolutely killing it. We have a bunch of people who are loving the show. We've had some great guests on. That's been the highlight of the year for sure. We started that about 3 months ago now in December. So that's been great to see it grow. And it's honestly just been awesome to, bring a powerful new tool to the market. I think it's one of the best edges in college basketball right now. It's definitely
so it actually tell us about that. It actually takes in the current score and it already has the stats before it's even over.
So so it's actually taking in play-by-play data. And it's referencing Shot Quality's databases to understand player performance from those indicators we get from the play-by-play. So, you do get decent shot location and things like that. We do, of course, not get everything done in 30, 40 seconds. There's still some later data, especially specifics about player closeout, tracking the motion specifically, right? We don't really have that type of stuff, but we do have the very generic, where on the floor they took it and who took it and all that type of stuff. We have obviously some really good modeling for. So we evaluate if they were, how many points they're expected to get off of those attempts. We don't really take into account the score. We just look at the process. And so essentially when you get open threes, they're worth more than contested threes. It's simple, but it works. And so we put them up side by side on our interface and you can see the shot quality score with the actual score. And so, we look for a threshold of above 7, 9 points or so to start making some plays. If there's 10 points more than expected in the game, you drop it under. If there's 10 points less than expected, you take it over. If one team is winning by a lot, you take the other side. I mean, we had Baylor winning tied, I think, or only down 3 at the half yesterday, and recommended taking them as a second half spread. We recommended taking Memphis the other day as a second half money line. We had, people using Shot Quality in the
second half. They were down big time and just came back and scoring 60 to 28.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy. We've hit. I mean, I don't know if you remember that game where Ohio State blew it to Indiana at home right before, a week before Chris Holtmann got fired. We had an Indiana 11-1 money line that we sprinkled on and we hit, and it was crazy. It's been nuts, and it's happening a lot. And I think it gives you the confidence and the a data perspective quickly that you can't attain humanly otherwise by having these formulas. You could do it. You could sit there and watch a game and be okay, this team's hitting everything. They probably won't continue to do that. It's probably a smart bet to go against them. But Shot Quality does that math on every single game at once. And so you can apply that strategy everywhere in college basketball. And it is, it's hard to stay that hot. So it's been going really well. We fire these bets off like wildfire. It's a lot of fast moving stuff, but it's been the highlight of our season. The data is, turning a lot of heads. I'm really excited about it. And, we have a lot of other stuff. The pick of the day has been going really well. We give out one pick a day. I do that on YouTube, on Twitter, on the blog, everything. And then, I have my show, which is the other days, and just trying to keep a steady flow of content, really. Do stuff every single day, get thoughts and guests and bets out there, and just have a good time talking sports.
Oh, it's great stuff. Make sure you guys turn into that. Now, I forgot to put this out there. Kevin says Johnny's are playing game, and then Dayton's a 6 seed, so that's very possible.
Yeah, I was going by the Torvik numbers at that point, so that's not what the bracket matrix has, which is Dayton's in, so obviously they're in.
Villanova for me is a fade team in general, just because of Neptune. I don't like him. I think he does have some talent. They've showed up the last few weeks, but I won't be too keen on Nova, I think, as in general. But I do like, looking at Creighton here, depending upon what number you get for the Big East too. So we'll I'd rather take the field at any plus money, but I might have to get a little cute and try to do that. But once again, guys, make sure you check out Justin. He's all over Twitter. He's all over the TV, the waves, the videos. We love him. So thanks again, Justin.
I'll catch you later, man. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry for the noise.